Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Tamara. I'll be getting the training started here soon. Just wanted to let you all know that you're a little early, which is fine, but we'll be waiting a couple minutes past the hour to allow for a couple of extra people to join, and then we'll be getting started. So in the meantime, feel free to sit back, relax. I'll let you know when we are about to begin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Tamara and colleagues. I'm seeing, well, colleagues, I'm still seeing people entering the group, but just want to make you aware, if you are coming from Mona campus or the St. Augustine campus, whatever is covered here, do not expect to see Zoom in your e-learning system on Mona and St. Augustine at the moment. They have a different implementation schedule. And so your campus, if you're at Mona campus or St. Augustine campus, they will communicate with you regarding their schedule for Zoom being available in your e-learning system.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. For those of you that are just now joining, my name is Tamara and I will be your Zoom presenter today. In today's session, we're going to be covering how to use Zoom as a host of a meeting. There's a high possibility that you've already joined a Zoom meeting in the past, but there's a possibility that you joined as a participant, not as a host. So the idea here today is that you get a full understanding of everything that you need to know in order to run a Zoom meeting. So that is how to use the Zoom application, how to control the settings, and of course, how to go in and change your settings as well from the online portal. So we're going to start off just looking at the actual product itself, and then we're going to look at how to be using bigger changes in terms of what you want your meeting to look like out of the online portal. I want to give everyone a heads up that we are recording today's session. So that means that anything that you have to miss for any reason, either you have to step out for a second or something important came up, please do not worry. The session is being recorded and we'll be providing all of you with a copy of the recording after the session has finalized. Now, because today we're going to be covering how to use Zoom application in itself, I'm going to be doing a reversed screen share So it's going to be a reversed screen share, meaning that you're going to be seeing my computer on your screen. So it might look a little weird, but this is the most hands-on I can get with training without having to go through a boring PowerPoint. So that said, let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Again, you are going to see a reversed version of my screen on my computer. So know that a couple things might look strange, such as if you're on a Windows computer and you're looking now at a Mac computer. So you all should be seeing my screen. You should see my mouse moving around. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with talking about how to actually control your own meeting. So start off with the most obvious icons. We're going to start off with audio, and then we're going to move on to audio and video. And then we're going to talk about security options. So again, we are looking at this from the point of view as a host, meaning you called the meeting, you invited everyone, you are going to move forward with this meeting, you are in charge. So let's start off with audio and video. Now, audio and video is pretty straightforward. As you know, if you click on the little mute icon or the little video icon, it will mute you if there's a little red line through it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We all know that. However, a couple of things that I want to add that most people are not aware of is that we have these two little icons that are little up carrots that allow you to make changes to your audio and video. So let's start off with audio. Clicking on that little up caret right there next to your audio piece, you will see that you have a pop-up that allows you to select different microphones or speakers that you may have associated to your computer. Again, I'm on my computer, you're viewing my computer. So when you look at your microphone and your speaker options, they might be different than mine, but that's not a problem. It just means that there's different things associated with your computer setup. So again, if you want to switch your Microsoft or speaker, you can easily switch those out. And if you're not sure which ones to select, which one might be the best one, you can always test that microphone and speaker. Again, click on that little up icon. It will give you the pop-up, and you'll be able to choose whatever it is that you think is best. And then if you're not sure, you can test that speaker and microphone. It will play an audio for you. You'll say, yes, I hear it, or no, I don't. And then it will help you through that process. Now, if you do have the option to dial into your meeting, if you want to dial in by phone, you do have that option by clicking on switch to phone audio. So this allows you to switch to a phone call if you would prefer to do that. Now I'm looking around, it seems like most of you are connected to computer audio, which is great. It's completely free and probably the best option anyway. It automatically connects and it tends to have the better quality. So phone audio is available if needed, but we recommend that you use voice over IP computer audio. Now, again, if you do want to switch out, you can always click on leave computer audio and it will take you out and it will allow you to dial in if needed. Now, another thing that you may notice is that we have audio settings listed right here. Now, audio settings, when you select that, it's going to bring you into a pop-up that allows you to select more options. Now, what you're seeing right here on this left-hand side column are all of the options that Zoom provides you, but it automatically brought you into audio since we were already there. As you're seeing, we have our speaker and our microphone, such as what we selected before. And one of the things that I wanted to call out is that we have the automatic adjustment of volume for microphones. So you see, I don't have a headset on. If you have a headset, you probably don't need this, but because I'm moving my head back and forth, I'm moving around, this allows Zoom to automatically detect your voice and kind of move along with you. So this is a great option if you don't have a headset. Do keep in mind that obviously working in a space that has distracting noises, dogs barking, children crying, whatever the case may be, you do have the option to suppress background noise. Now, it's not a perfect science, but it does help you out. So if you live alone or you're in an office space where you don't have to really interact with other audios, maybe low will be a good option for you. But if you are in a place where maybe construction is being done, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of audios, I would recommend keeping suppression of background noise on high. You also have the option to set it to audio. Now that could be affected depending on if you're moving around and whatnot, but I have it set to high and it really works well for me and I live alone. So that is something to consider. Now, when you scroll down, you'll have the option to switch out your ringtones and you'll have other options as well, such as muting your microphone automatically when you join a meeting, etc. One of the ones I would like to call out is the press and hold the space bar key to temporarily unmute. This is very helpful if you're joining a lot of meetings in which you're not really expected to talk, but you could be called out at any point in time to say something. So you're sitting there happily on mute and suddenly someone says, hey, Justin, what do you think? So you can easily hit that spacebar button, say what you need to, hold it down the entire time you're speaking. And whenever you're done, you take your finger off of that spacebar button and it automatically remutes you. So it's a really good option to have on, especially if you're just kind of joining in on meetings and listening in. So closing that down, you will see that pop up again, but going back to our little up carrots here, this is how you get to your audio options, and clicking on the video option, clicking on that little up carrot, same thing, video, up carrot, multiple camera options if you have more than one associated with your computer, and more on the fun items. We have virtual backgrounds and filters and those settings. So let's go ahead and start off with virtual background. Now we'll give you guys a heads up. I am moving, so it looks a little distracting back here. So I'm going to turn it off for just a second. Please excuse the mess as I am moving. But this is what it looks like with no background whatsoever. It can be a little unprofessional, if you want to call it that. So we definitely recommend the use of at least a blurred background, so it kind of gives that experience that you're not in the process of moving or whatever the case may be behind you. And you also have the little plus button or add image button if you're on a Windows computer, that allows you to add an image or a video as your background. Now be careful with videos. One, they can be really heavy depending on how big they are, and then also can be really distracting. So I personally recommend just adding an image as your background. It can be anything you want. For example, like we have these Zoom backgrounds that you can use. You can go ahead and change the information around that you have available, but this is really a good way to create a more professional or unprofessional space depending on what it is that you were looking for. So again, little plus icon if you're on a Mac. A Windows computer will say add image, click on that, and you'll be able to add your virtual background of choice. Now you'll notice that we have two tabs here. You have virtual background and virtual filters. You can also access the filters directly by saying choose video filter. But since we're already here, we're going to just go ahead and click on it. Your video filter allows you to allow some fun, if you will, in your Zoom meeting. You can have some very basic things, maybe like a pizza hut, if you would like, or you can go with some more professional things like the lighting that you are looking at. So like, see how that's a little bit more yellow tones, brown tones. You can switch it out depending on whatever it is that you would like. So you have different options to choose from in terms of filters. And my favorite one, everyone, is your studio effects. It's at the bottom of the filters option. Studio effects allows you to fill out eyebrows, add a mustache, lip color, etc. So if you are running late one day and you're running to do a meeting and you're like, didn't have time to do my makeup, or I had a really rough night last night, I didn't sleep very well, you want to make yourself look a little bit better, you can add some little extra coloring on there, and you will have not only the ability to add color, but the opacity of that color as well. So that allows you to play around with Zoom in our studio effects. So that is your studio effects. Again, that is clicking on the little up caret, virtual background or filters. Either one will take you to this area that will allow you to select either your backgrounds or your filters. Now, that said, going back to that little up caret, you have your video settings. So similar to the audio settings, when you click on that, it's going to give you the option for additional items, such as not only selecting your camera, but it will also allow you to touch up your appearance. Now, this is something that no shame, I have it on all the time. Touching up your appearance just smooths out some of the lines. So you'll see here that the lines are a little bit more obvious on my face. And then as I increase that touch up, it kind of blurs the lines a little bit. Again, if you have a rough night, you're needing an additional extra touch up, this is a really good option. Now, a lot of us are working from areas that are not perfect in terms of lighting. So you have the option to adjust automatically for low lighting. You have it auto or manual. If you do manual, then it allows you to increase that lighting or decrease that lighting depending on where you are. I personally have it set to auto. I like it that way. But again, up to you and how you want to use that. Now, when you are working with students, a lot of times there are some extra things that you will want to be aware of. Additional display, always display participants' names on their video. That's something you can turn on or off if you would like. As you can see there, the names have disappeared below them. So if anybody had their cameras on, I would just see your face, not your names. But as I click on it, it allows me to see those names as well. You'll have additional options that you can play around with, such as hiding non-video participants. I would be careful with this one just because if you don't see them, it doesn't mean they're not there. So you always want to be careful of that. Don't particularly recommend that one, but it is there. And you have the additional option of how many people you want to display in gallery view, 25 or 49. So just moving this out of the way for a second, this is gallery view, meaning that everyone has equal amounts of real estate, regardless of who they are and what cameras are turned on or whatnot. So you have the option of saying, yes, I want to have 25 people, which makes the squares bigger. And then after 25, you have a little button that allows you to scroll through almost like pages, or you have 49, which makes the squares a little bit smaller, more people on one screen. And again, you'll have that option to scroll through pages as more and more people join. And again, that's under your settings for video. Audio, video. Now moving on to our third topic that I promised in terms of running a meeting, and that is your security button. Now, this is something that you and only you as the host to the meeting will have access to. Now, every single host is responsible for the security of their meeting. Now, that said, I want you to be aware of what controls you have actively during a meeting. We will talk about scheduling a meeting and what options you will have as well when you pre-schedule a meeting. But actively in a meeting, every host of a meeting will have a security button. When you click on security, you'll have a few different options to choose from, such as locking your meeting. When you lock a meeting, no one else can join, even if they have the link, even if they have the passcode. So if you're a strict person and you're like, hey, if you're not here in the first 10 minutes, you will not be able to join. That is locking your meeting. Anyone trying to join right now that has a link, that has a passcode, is getting a notification that says your host has locked the meeting. So let me go ahead and unlock that so that they can join if they're running late. But you have the ability to lock a meeting. You also have the ability to enable or disable a waiting room. By enabling waiting room, this means that anyone that has a link and the passcode and is joining the meeting doesn't join directly into this room that we are in right now. What will happen is that those people, as you see here, have now entered the waiting room. They cannot hear or see anything that we are doing. Now I have the option to view that waiting room, and let me just pull it over. You'll see the waiting room here, everybody that is already joined. And then we have our waiting room right here. I have the option to say admit all, remove, or admit one by one. In this case, I'm going to say admit all, and they will be able to join from our waiting room. So that worked out very well. You see that those people are now joining our meeting. And again, back to the security button, you have the ability to enable or disable that waiting room at any point in time. So I'm disabling it, meaning anyone else that joins will automatically join in. They will not hit the waiting room first. Going back to the security button, you have the option to hide profile pictures as well. If I do that, it takes away everybody's profile picture, or I can allow for those to appear again. Going back, excuse me. Just do this again, reshare. Going back to that security button, you have also the ability to say what participants can and cannot do in your meeting. So by seeing check marks, that means it's turned on. If there's no check marks, it's turned off. You have the ability to say, allow participants to share their screen, chat, rename themselves, unmute, start video, or annotate on shared screen. So especially when you're working with students, I would recommend probably turning off the ability for people to rename themselves or to annotate on the screen, unless that's something you want to allow for them to do. Now, if somebody were to get into your meeting, that should not be there. Either someone got the wrong link or it's a bad actor. Either way, you have the ability to remove a participant. Click security, remove participant, and you will see a list of everyone that is present in your meeting, and you'll have the option to remove that person. If you remove them, they will not be able to get back in. So that's the option for removing And then you also have suspend participants for activities for users. So what happens if you hit suspend participant activity? All audio, video, and screen share will automatically be turned off for everyone. I hope you never have to use this, but in the event that you do, remember you are the host, you are in charge of the security of your meeting. You can always hit suspend participants activity, video, audio, and content share will be turned off, meaning that you have the ability to regain the control of your meeting before you continue on. Those all under the security button. So that's audio, that's video, and security. As long as you have those three things down, pretty much everything else will fall into place. Now I'm going to take a quick pause. I know that there was a question that came in, so I'm going to go ahead and look at that. The comment was about the filters and the makeup portion being for females. Well, yes, the ones that I showed were, but there was also things like adding beards and mustaches and things like that. So there's options for both, and it doesn't particularly mean that it's just for women. It can be used on both ends depending on what your lighting looks like and what you would like to show off. Again, they're just fun add-ons as needed. So sharing my screen once again, now that we've covered audio, video, and the security button, everything else that follows are things that you're responsible for as a host or want to add or run as a host, but not particularly must-haves, right? So for example, in a meeting, you can go ahead and share your screen. Now, this is something that participants can do as well. So participants can share their screen if you, as the host, allow them. Remember that security button and allowing of shared screen. You can turn this on or off as needed. So right now, if anybody were to try to share their screen, they wouldn't have the ability to do that. So going back to that share screen button, when I hit share screen, I will get a pop-up. This pop-up allows me to select what I want to share, desktop 1, desktop 2, or I have the ability to go into whiteboard mode, share anything from my mobile device or individual programs that are already open. So right now I have been sharing with all of you my entire screen. If a pop-up were to appear, you would see that. If I were to put another program in front of you, you would see that. That is a full screen share. Now, if I just wanted to share my internet browser with you, I would select Google Chrome or whatever your internet browser is and click share. And it would only show you that. Nothing else on my screen would be visible. So as you can see here again, we hit share screen. That got us this pop-up. You select what it is that you want to share. And heads up, everyone, anything you share, if it has a video in it, so a YouTube video or a video that's embedded in a PowerPoint, you're going to want to click on Share Computer Sound and Optimize for Full Screen Video Clip. Now, it doesn't matter if it's on your desktop, on your internet, on your PowerPoint, it doesn't matter. You're going to want to share that computer sound and optimize for full screen video clip. And the reason for that is because you want everyone to hear what you are hearing, especially if you're watching a video. And then optimizing for full screen video clip pulls extra bandwidth so that the video is not seen in a choppy manner on the other person's side. So again, if you are sharing a video, please select these two icons at the bottom. Now, you'll see up here that we have a couple of other options. We have our basics that includes sharing your full screen, individual programs, or your whiteboard option. If you go into advanced, you'll see that you have the option to add yourself to your PowerPoint presentation. So this allows you to embed yourself in a PowerPoint. So your video is part of the presentation. They're not separate. You don't have your presentation and then your video feed on one side. So this is really fun. The only thing I would keep in mind here is that you may want to rework your slides a little bit based off of where you want your persona to go. You can also share a portion of your screen. You can share your computer audio, meaning before a meeting starts, you can share some audio, get people excited before the meeting starts. You can share just a video directly and it automatically selects those two options, or you can select content from a second camera. Now, depending on what your admins have set up, you will also have a third tab that says files, and any files that are automatically connected to the system will be listed here. Again, this might be slightly different from yours, but what will be the same is your basics, your advanced, and maybe some of the files. So that is how you share your screen. And again, as the host of the meeting, you have the ability to click on that little up caret here and control some of those settings. So who can share, one participant at a time, multiple participants simultaneously, and under your advanced sharing options, you will get a pop-up that allows you to say who can share, multiple participants, or who can share, host only, or all participants. You get to control that. Again, that's your shared screen option, and participants and hosts can use this option. However, especially with student situation, it is recommended that you have that locked and always just change it up as needed if you would like. So that's your share screen option. Another thing that you will have is the ability to hit participants and see everybody that is in your meeting. Not only that, but anybody that is off mute will be listed at the top. That way you can easily find who it is that is speaking and see who it is. And you will also have the ability to make individual changes as needed. So if I wanted to ask Nazir to unmute, instead of being like, hey, Nazir, can you unmute? I can just come over here to participants, hit his name and say, ask to unmute. A pop-up will appear on his end that says your host wants you to unmute. He has the option of always saying yes or no. So if you're calling on someone, maybe you say, I'm going to ask Natasha to go ahead and speak up, and I can hit ask to unmute, and that will pop up on her end. Whatever the case may be, you have individual changes that you can make to each individual user. You can also make someone a co-host, meaning someone else that can manage recording, audio, video for you if you are presenting. You can also do with some additional options, such as putting someone in a waiting room, remove or report that person. Obviously, you probably won't be using these very often, but know that those are a possibility individually as needed. You don't have to go to the security button to do that. You can make changes individually directly from here. Some mass changes you can do and that are very helpful when you're working with students is the mute all button. If everybody comes in and they're all speaking, it could be very hard for you to mute everybody one by one. So you can hit mute all and it will mute everyone. You'll also have the more button that allows you to make additional changes, such as playing sounds when participants join or leave. It's a ping that sounds. Locking that meeting, same thing we saw in security, and enabling waiting room, same thing we saw in security. So you can do that from the participants list. You can make changes individually, or you can make some of those changes in the security area as well. Now everybody knows how to chat, so let's go ahead and skip that one. Just know that again, as the host, you have the ability to say, yes, I want people to chat with each other, or no, I don't want them to be able to chat, or maybe just chat with me as the host. I'm going to skip polls for a minute and I'm going to just go on to the recording option. Everybody has the ability to record if they are the host. When you hit record, it's going to give you the option to either record directly to the cloud or directly to your computer. You'll get to choose whichever one it is that you would like. If you record to the cloud, please keep in mind that that will be easier for you to share versus if you record locally to your computer, then it's on your computer and you have to figure out a way to get it back into the cloud to be able to share it out if needed. Now, at any point in time, either be cloud or local recording. If you're recording, you will have the option to pause or stop that recording from up here or down from the bar that you're seeing all of your options from. Now, when you hit pause or stop, different actions will happen. If you pause a recording, the recording will stay the same. When you unpause, it will be on the same recording reel. If you stop a recording, so let's say I stop the recording right now, it's going to give me recording 1. If I then re-record and say record now after 5 minutes, it's going to give me recording 1, recording 2 out of the same meeting. So if you want it to be one continuous reel, just go ahead and pause. If you want it to be separate instances, then you're going to go ahead and hit stop on your recording. Again, if you are the host or the co-host, you're the only person that can hit record. Participants cannot do that. Now that's a recording piece. Going on to some of the more fun and exciting ways that you can interact with your students is with the poll button and breakout rooms button. So let me go ahead and click on polls. Polls are something that you can create ahead of time prior to the meeting starting or during the meeting. By hitting create, it's going to bring me into the online portal under that specific meeting where you'll be able to give it a name. And you'll be able to say question 1, how was your weekend? Whoops. Guess you have to slowly delete. Okay. How was your weekend? And you can make it a single choice, multiple choice, and you can say what those options are, right? Great. Okay. Could have been longer. Oops. You have multiple options that you can add. You can always delete a question or even multiply a question if you would like. You'll have these 3 little tabbies that allow you to say, allow participants to answer anonymously or not. Click save. And now when I go back to my meeting, so again, I'm creating a poll in the moment simultaneously with my meeting. When I hit polls now, I'm going to have my poll that appears here. Remember, I duplicated it, so it's right there. And I have the option to launch that. So I'm going to stop my screen share for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and launch. Now you don't need to answer this. Well, you do need to answer the second one, but just go ahead and select whatever it is that you would like. And I will be showing you what appears on my end. So right now we have 33 people in this meeting, and 3 out of 32 have answered, 4 out of 32. So I'm seeing it change actively as some of you begin to interact with our poll. So I'll give it a couple more seconds and then I will screen share with you again and show you what it is that I am seeing on my end. So sharing my screen with you again, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a timer. It tells me how long that question has been opened, what your questions are, and how many of you have voted. I also see who is winning. Now, again, this was an anonymous poll, so I'm not going to see ever your answers. If you don't make it anonymous, then you have the ability to pull a report from your online portal, which I'll show you how to access in a few minutes, so you can see who answered what and when. Now I also have the option to end the poll whenever I'm ready. So I'm going to hit end poll, and this is going to give me the option now to share those results with you or not. So now you are seeing the results on your end of what everyone voted for. So those are the polls. And again, as mentioned, you can create these ahead of time or during the meeting as you just saw, which I will show you once we get to the online portal, how to create these ahead of time. So that's your poll. It's a great way to interact with your participants. Moving on to Breakout Room. Breakout Room allows you to take a large meeting such as this one where there's 33 people and say, hey, I'm going to create a breakout room. This breakout room is going to have maybe 4 rooms. That's 8 participants per room. And I can, as the host, say, I want to automatically assign people to a room. I don't care who goes to what. Or if you're more picky about who goes where, you can say assign manually or let participants choose the room that they want to go to. I would recommend one of these first 2 probably. Automatically assign, which would be the fastest way to get people into a room, or manually assign. When I click create, it's going to give me each room, which I have the ability to go ahead and rename room. For example, I can give it a name there. I can say who is going to go to what room. Again, this does take a little bit more time, so keep that in mind. So you can just go ahead and create room per room. And every time you select someone, it comes out of our group. So you'll see that every time I go to a group, it then makes the list shorter and shorter. So again, this is 33 people. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. It's going to take forever, but you have the automatically assign or manually assign. And again, just like poll, breakout room is something that we can create ahead of time and assign people to rooms ahead of time. Now, when you're creating rooms and you decided, oh man, it seems like we have too many people from this area in one room, you can go ahead and move them to a different room or exchange them for someone else. And that allows you to move people around easily. Now, as a host, you have the ability to recreate or add additional rooms, and you'll have a little configurations wheel that allows you to say, hey, I want this room to end after 10 minutes, or notify me when time is up, what the automatic close breakout is. Is there going to be a timer? Yes or no? You can go ahead and select all those changes as the host. This is something that I recommend you play around with, maybe with your colleagues before jumping in and doing this, just to make sure that you fully understand what capabilities you have and how it all works. But when you're ready to launch a poll, either it's something that, I'm sorry, not a poll, a breakout room, either it's something that you created ahead of time or something that you created in the moment. Once you hit open all rooms, everybody will get a pop-up that says your host is inviting you to room A or Cave Hill or room 2, and the people will have the option to join that room or not. As the host, you have the ability to always end it and bring them back to the main room, or just dismiss everyone and let them go off on their day. That is the breakout room option. And again, I will be showing you how to create polls and breakout rooms from your online portal in just a few minutes. One of the last things I want to mention that is a way to interact with your participants is reactions. Reactions allows you to go ahead and react to whatever it is that people are saying. So this is something that participants and hosts can do. So for example, if you say, I love that, that was great, you can go ahead and give it a little heart at the end. It only stays up for a few seconds, as you can see here. And then after that, it will start to disappear. It will slowly vanish. Now, one thing that will stay, thank you, Cynthia. One thing that will stay for a while, well, until you lower your hand or your host does that, is the ability to raise your hand. When you raise your hand, that puts you at the beginning of the list of participants, and it puts you at the beginning of the top left when it comes to anyone that has raised their hand, meaning they want to speak. That's a really great way for people to interact without them unmuting themselves and saying, hey, can I interact? Can I ask a question? They can easily raise a hand. And as you can see, the hand does not go down until I, as the host, lower it for them. So I can go ahead and say lower hand, or that individual lowers their hand on their end. And again, to do that, they go to reactions and they just say lower hand. If you wanted to use a different emoji than the ones that are listed here, you'll have the 3 little dots. You'll select that and you'll be able to search through all of the very classic emojis that we all know and love. Those are your ways to interact with your participants in a nonverbal way. You have your polls, you have the breakout rooms, and your reactions. We've almost covered everything that you have as an option as the host of the meeting. So let's do a quick recap before we jump on to our next topic. We've covered audio, video, and we covered security, probably some of the most important pieces to the training today. Then we moved on and covered screen share, participants, we briefly mentioned chat, and then we covered some of the ways to interact with your participants, including recording, polls, breakout rooms, and reactions. I'm going to take a quick pause here. Again, we are about to jump into how to do all of this from the online portal as well. But now that we've covered it in the meeting itself, I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions that have entered chat, and then we'll look at how to do this from the online portal. Okay. Question, where can the recordings be accessed? That's from the online portal. We're about to see that. So hang tight to that question and you will see that in a few minutes. Next question, under video settings, there is an HD video as a choice. Can you choose a lower resolution? Great question. So when you look at that HD option, it's not quite needed. Right now, this meeting is not in HD. HD is something that I recommend if you're going to be reusing a recording. So for example, if you're going to be using a recording that you did in a Zoom meeting, but then you want it to be on your web portal and it's going to be viewed thousands of times, then maybe do HD because you want it to be super high quality. But keep in mind that HD is going to give you a heavier, longer recording, right? So it's going to be more megabytes, it's going to be more space on your computer depending on where you record it to. So by default, you already have a lower setting, but if you want to re-record or reuse something multiple times, then I would recommend using HD. Next question, anyone can create polls? Answer is no, just the host can create the polls. Once the poll is created, a co-host can assist in launching that poll, but no one can create a poll in a meeting unless they are a host. Next question, when you choose local recording, the default is your local computer. Can you choose the storage to be located on an external drive, example OneDrive? Great question. The answer is yes, but you do have to set that up from your online portal and you have to have permission from the admins to be able to do that. So definitely connect with them. Great question. As a follow-up on the HD question, does the HD video affect other users' bandwidth, like the end user on the lower speed internet plan? Great question. Yes, the answer is yes. If you set any meeting to record to HD, then it's going to pull extra bandwidth on your participants' end as well. So again, not recommended to use HD unless you particularly want to use that recording again and again for something that's very visible. If it's just a class recording, you don't need HD. If it's something that you're not going to be viewing multiple times, I don't recommend HD. Great questions. Let's go ahead and move on to the online portal because I think that will kind of complete what everybody's looking for. So let me go ahead and share my screen with all of you. Okay, go into full screen mode. Okay, so what you're seeing here is our online profile with Zoom. So you're probably wondering how I got there. So from any Zoom page, so that's zoom.us, you can get to your online portal. So zoom.us, or you can access it from your online desktop application, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But from any browser, navigate to zoom.us and you'll be able to log into your account. Once you've logged into your account, it's going to bring you in to your online portal where on the left-hand side, you'll have this column. Specifically for you, you'll probably only see the personal area. But if you're an administrator or listed as an administrator, these options below here will be listed. But let's focus on the personal area since most of you will only have access to this. Once you've logged into zoom.us, you'll have your profile. It's from here where you can edit and add your photo, your name, and information that is listed on the account. If you're interested in changing up your time zone or your date format, that is listed here. And as you scroll down, you will see that under your account, it will tell you what type of license you have with Zoom and how many participants you can have. Scrolling down a little bit further, one of the options that you will have is the option to configure your calendar to be integrated with Zoom. This allows you to use your calendar of choice, either it be Outlook, Google, iMessage, Microsoft Exchange. This allows you to integrate your calendar with Zoom so that you can easily create invitations directly from your calendar and send those off via your calendar and contact integration. So this is all under your profile area. Now, more importantly, let's talk about the meetings piece. Wherever it is that you schedule your meeting, either it be Moodle, Canvas, if you schedule it from here, your desktop application, or your calendar, any meeting that you create will be listed under your meetings tab. Now you can see here I have my meeting going on here that I can easily join and or edit. Now, because it is active and happening, you cannot edit that right now, but you can make changes at any point in time. Remember, we talked about how you can create polls and breakout rooms before the meeting even starts. Well, in that case, any upcoming meeting, you can go ahead and click on edit and you'll be able to go in there and make additional changes such as adding that breakout room or adding that poll. So this is an existing meeting that I have. I can change any of the information listed here. As I scroll down, you'll have all the basics. And then when you're done, you click save. Now what that's going to do is it's going to bring you into a preview of the meeting. And as you scroll down, you will have the ability to add that poll. So this is where you create that poll ahead of time so that those are ready to go for any meeting. And then you can also do the breakout room in this area as well. So again, any meeting that you create will be listed here. It doesn't matter if you create it from your calendar, Moodle, Canvas, wherever it may be. All the meetings that you create under your account will be listed here, and you can come in here and make edits to them or start your meetings directly from this area as well. Now, if you want to recreate a meeting over and over, you can also create templates out of those meetings, and that way you can easily just hit use this template and it will allow you to just go ahead and make any change you want, such as the name of it, and then you are good to go. Again, this is under zoom.us, under your left-hand side column, under your meetings area. One of the questions we had earlier was, where do I access my recording after it has finalized? When you click on recordings, it's going to bring you in to any recording that you have done. cloud or local recordings are your different tabs. And this allows you to easily share out your cloud recordings. So here are some of the trainings that we did last week for your internal trainers. I can click on share and I will have the option to click on that link, copy it and share it out. I can change who will be able to view it. And I will have some share settings as well that I can make in addition, such as setting an expiration date. So these are ways that you can easily share out a cloud recording, and obviously a local recording, meaning it's locally recorded to your computer. It will tell you the exact location of where it was recorded to, the name of the computer, the date, and of course there's no security options since it's recorded to your computer, but it will allow you to easily open directly from your computer. So those are your local and cloud recordings. Again, cloud recordings are more easily shareable, and then local recordings are located on your computer. Now, last but not least, we have our settings. Now, this is really important. I know we're at the home stretch here, but I would like everyone to pay attention to this. From your zoom.us page, you have your settings. From here, you can go ahead and change anything you would like to your meetings in the way that they are pre-populated. So remember, we talked about the waiting room. If you want to turn that on or off, you can do that here. All you have to do is say, hey, for all my future meetings, I don't want the waiting room turned on, or you just go ahead and turn that off and it will be off moving forward. So this is your controls. If you see anything like this that says locked by admin and it's grayed out, that means that you cannot make a change. You will have to work with your admins to ensure that those changes are made if you want to do that. But know that anything that is gray or blue, you can easily change as needed. Now, due to timing, we're not going to go through all of these, but know that from your zoom.us page, under settings, you can go to your meetings and recordings, and you can go ahead and make changes to the way recordings are done, what they look like, will they have timestamps, do they delete after a certain amount of time. All that information will be listed here under recordings. And if you want to pre-populate your meetings or have them run in a certain way or with certain backgrounds, all of that information will be listed here. Now, what's cool is that you can turn any of these on or off. And if you decide you don't like it, you can always come back later and make a change so that it populates in a way that you would like. So going back to those emojis, you can say selected emojis or all emojis or turn it off altogether. It's up to you how you want your meetings to pre-populate. One last thing I wanted to show you, as being in the educational space has its challenges to keep people focused. We have the option for immersive views, which allows you to have a virtual classroom background on. And we also have focus mode. Focus mode allows you as the host and caller of the meeting to be able to see everyone, but the participants will only be able to see you, aka allowing them to focus on you and what it is that you are saying. So all of this is listed over here in our zoom.us page under settings, under the meeting or recording tab, and you can make any changes to turn things off or on as needed, unless they're specifically locked by admin. And with that, we're going to go ahead and just review one last thing that's important for everyone to know. We've covered a lot of information today. At any point in time, if you forget what it is that I said, or you want to look back at something, from any Zoom page, either you be logged in or not, from any Zoom page, you will have a button at the top that says support. If you click on support, it's going to bring you into the Zoom support page that will look like this. Now, when you click on support, it will bring you into this page and you will have the ability to search keywords. It will give you a few options to choose from. And if you're still not finding what you want, you will have some additional buckets to look through. Featured articles, top resources, and video tutorials that you can look at. All these video tutorials are short snippets of everything that we've covered today, where you will be able to see all videos if needed. Now, if you do need additional support, we do offer 24 hours, 7 days a week support. So you can click on that and it will allow you to chat with some of our reps or create support tickets as needed. So again, that's from any Zoom page at the top right, you will find the support button, and that will allow you to access our support page. We also have our Zoom Learning Center, which comes with free on-demand courses, live trainings, and short videos. So you can continue to expand your knowledge with Zoom. Just click on that support button at the top. You'll click on Start Learning, and that will take you into our community center. Just taking a second to load here, but this is what it will look like. You will have your basics, what's new with Zoom, admin, you can probably skip, and per product. In this case, we are today learning about Zoom meetings. Here you have the products. Eventually, these will be available in other languages as well. So feel free to click through, and if you need additional languages, you can always switch it up to see what is available. So that is your online profile. And as promised, the last thing I want to show you is your Zoom application. Your Zoom application runs on your computer and is needed to run all of your meetings. Now that said, your Zoom application looks like this. When you get here, you'll have a tab that allows you to select different options. In your case, you're going to be looking at your home page where you can join, schedule, or share screen directly from here. You can start your meetings as well. And then at the top, you have your meetings tab. From here, you'll be able to see your upcoming meeting, edit, start, or join your meeting directly from here. This is another benefit of connecting your calendar and your contacts integrations. This allows you to see meetings in which you're not a host or not a Zoom meeting, but you'll still be able to join. Last but not least, from your icon up here at the top of your Zoom application, when you click on that, it will allow you to change up your settings. It will allow you to go into away, available, do not disturb. And as you saw before, you can join my profile, and that will take you into your online portal. So you don't have to exit the application, then go to your internet. You can go and find this directly from your desktop application. And the little configurations wheel brings you back to that page that we started with audio and video. From here, you have your general that allows you to make changes to how your meeting pre-populates within Zoom and how Zoom starts up within itself. You'll have themes, you'll have skin reactions, and if you want additional options, you go into view more settings, and that's again going to bring you into that online portal in that exact same area where I was saying that you have all of your options. Bringing this box back here, you'll have your video, your audio, which we covered before, and additional options for screen share, chat, and other options such as background filters as well. So we have finalized our Zoom training. Thank you so much for your time, your attention, and your wonderful questions. We have about 8 more minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the questions that are in chat. And then after that, if you want to virtually raise your hand, as we talked about with the reactions, feel free to unmute yourself when I call your name. Or if you're feeling a little bit more shy, feel free to chat me your question. I can answer that as well. But again, we have about 8 more minutes, and any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer. Let's see here. Great question. Given that the recording may have an expiration date, can the video be copied and saved onto a local PC? Great question. The answer is yes. If your admins have set up, or if you have set up that you want your cloud recordings to delete after a certain amount of time, you will have a notification that lets you know 7 days in advance that the recording is going to be deleted. At that point, you'll have the option to download it and save it to your computer or ask for an extension from your admins. Okay, follow-up question from someone as a direct message. Can I get a recording copy from the other trainings as well? Those were going to be available, and one of the admins that is online, if you could help me out there, I think you have a special site where all of those recordings are going to be living. If someone can help me out and send us that link so that we all have it, that would be great. If not, again, your admins do have access to all the copies of the recordings, and they will be providing them. And there is a page, again, don't know what it is internally, that will have all the recordings available to you. Those are all the questions in chat. So at this point, I would like to welcome for the next 5 minutes any verbal questions you may have, or again, you can chat those to me if you would prefer to stay anonymous. Anything you guys want to review, see again, or anything that may have been unclear or that you want to hear more about? What's the difference between enhanced and end-to-end encryption? It's a great question. So let me go ahead and talk about that for just a quick second here. Let me share my screen. Up here at the top right, left, you see that we have the little meeting information icon. When you click on that, you will see that it says encryption enabled. You'll see this for every single meeting that you are on with Zoom, either you be a host or participant. Encryption means is that the meeting is safe. It is not being accessed by anyone in the cloud. It is completely safe. And what that means is that the meeting is leaving your computer, going up into the cloud, being deciphered in the cloud, re-encrypted, and being sent back down to your participants, or vice versa. It's kind of like a pyramid. So the cloud decrypts the message, then recrypts it, and then sends it back down. That's an enabled encryption. And for what you are doing, 99.9% of the time, you will only need this. However, when you are creating a meeting that is going to be super confidential, you really don't want anyone to potentially be able to see this, we could recommend the option of end-to-end encryption, which that means, and let me go ahead and show you what that would look like here. When you go to schedule a meeting, the enhanced encryption means that there's no deciphering in the cloud of what's going on. If you decide to do that, where is it? Security, where is encryption? There it is, sorry, it's at the top. So all of you by default will have enhanced encryption. If you do end-to-end encryption, then there will be automatically some disabling of things that you can do with Zoom because we're not decrypting in the cloud. That means you won't be able to cloud record, you won't be able to use breakout rooms or polls. So again, not super encouraged to use end-to-end encryption unless you're really, really needing full confidentiality. So for the majority of people, enhanced encryption is completely fine, but end-to-end encryption means that there's no decryption in the cloud. So again, enhanced encryption, you probably never have to worry about it, but know that that is that option. With polls, can users on phones participate in polls? Yes, with an asterisk on that, yes. Yes, they will be able to participate as long as they have the application of Zoom on their phone. Now that is completely free to download, and they can download it from the Apple Store, they can download it from Google Play Store, but they do have to have it, the application of Zoom itself, which is free, on their phone to be able to interact with a poll. You cannot launch a poll from a mobile device. You can participate, but you cannot launch from a mobile device. If you're just dialing in by phone, you're not seeing anything, then of course you cannot participate either. So you do have to have Zoom downloaded on your mobile device in order to use that. Another question in chat, is there a way to disable prioritizing audio over video if there is insufficient bandwidth? Can we modify audio upload bit rates while streaming via Zoom? Yes and no. Please connect with your admins on this. There is a way to say, hey, we want certain things to be prioritized on the administrative side. As an individual user, you don't have much choice aside from saying, obviously, we're not going to use HD because that pulls extra bandwidth. And if you're seeing that multiple people are having issues, maybe recommending that video be turned off. That way, there's not an extra bandwidth being pulled. Now, that said, Zoom has gotten pretty good at not pulling extra bandwidth for video feed. So play around with it. It shouldn't be an issue. Richard, I believe you raised your hand and then lowered it. So I don't know if I answered your question or if we're good to go.
Okay, I was about writing in the chat as well, but I just want to say I appreciate these trainings, and I learned a lot more than what I knew before. And Zoom has actually, I mean, done a lot of upgrading on the application. A lot I'm seeing there. It's very good. Just want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate the comment. Okay, we are at time, and I do unfortunately have to run for another meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, all of you, for taking the time to be here today and learn a little bit more about Zoom. I know an hour of your time is a lot to ask, so thank you. I appreciate it. Again, we did record the session. It will be sent out after it has processed today to your admins, and they will distribute it. If you need anything else, remember we do have our support site, and we are always available to help 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you to Tamara. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.